Hey, Yogi Monk here. I'm going to be playing Shiren the Wanderer. It came out on Super Famicom in 1995 by Chunsoft. It's a roguelike, and let's get started here pretty soon. I guess I can still... There we go. Yeah, it's a roguelike. I play a lot of roguelikes, which means, what is a roguelike? Well, it's turn-based, it's tile-based. The floors are procedurally generated, so it's kind of like a randomizer before randomizers got popular. And permadeath is another feature. If you die, you got to start over and back at level 1, floor 1. So I picked up a huge rice ball here, and food is a thing. There's a hunger clock. Every 10 actions, you lose 1% of your belly. You start out with 100%, and so in 1,000 turns, you'll lose it all. I eat the expansion seed here. That'll make my stomach a little bigger. Now it's maximum capacity of 110%. And the enemies in Shiren are always the same per floor. So on floors 1 and 2, you'll always find Mamuls, which is this little blue guy, Bean Bandits, and Kid Tengus. And so that's always fixed. And since it's an outdoor map, technically the map should be known, but I don't really worry about the maps early on. So let's say I knew the shape of this map, I would know where the exit was, but it's not really that important. I'm going to be playing for win rates more than speed. And the object of Shiren is to clear 30 floors. You can see in the upper left we're on floor 2. And Shiren is level 4. Pick up Eraser. Oops, all of my rice balls just got rotten there from that trap. There are traps. I was testing this pot here to try to figure out what the pot is, because a lot of times when the text is in yellow, you don't know what the item is. It'll give some generic like bulbous pot or something, and you don't know what bulbous does. But when I used it, it was a hiding pot, and now I know the bulbous. When I find a bulbous pot, it's automatically going to be identified as a hiding pot. These monster daikons have a special ability to throw poison herb. That did remove one of my strength. Now I'm 7 out of 8 strength. You start out at 8 out of 8. And it also slows you down. So a lot of monsters have a melee attack and a special attack. And that's going to be important as we move on. So the strategy to handle that is to position yourself kind of like in a chess knight's position away from it, and then waste a turn, and it'll come to you at a diagonal, and then it can't throw the herb at you. Ooh, I stepped on a huge mine there. That takes you down to 1 health. Notice afterwards I don't walk around, because there is a falling rock trap that can do damage. So if you take a step and there's a falling rock trap right next to it, you'll just die. Monster Nagiri Beast has an interesting special ability. It will turn one of your random items into a big rice ball, which will fill your belly up by 5%. Here's a Boya. Just has a ranged attack with wood arrows. If you happen to dodge an attack, then the arrow falls to the ground and you can pick it up and use it yourself. Also, there's various things you can do, like... I didn't find the chef on the first couple of floors, so I'm not going to find the chef. The chef gives you the 1 charge of Bufu staff, and you can throw the Bufu staff at any monster, turn it into meat, eat the meat, and turn into that monster and gain their powers for that floor only. There was a Gamera there. That guy steals your money. You can see the money in the upper right. Here's another Boya. Notice I'm walking up and down to lure it in, because it has to attack in a straight line, so I don't want to be on the same row as him. A bunch of the same monsters here. On floors 3 and 4 you'll see a lot of Boyas, daikons, and on floor 4 you can start seeing Haboons. We haven't seen one yet. I finally found a weapon. It's just a lowly club though. That's the worst common weapon you can get. I'm still looking for a shield. And like I said earlier, the floors are procedurally generated, so what you find is just kind of random. Here's the first Haboon. With no shield, this guy hits pretty hard. He hits for 10 damage-ish. And I take him out, but I'm still low health here from the first fight, and now here's another one. I'm going to eat the expansion seed and fall a little bit too low on the health, so I'm going to kite him back a bit. Wow, that was kind of a misplay. I probably should not have attacked it there. I was feeling lucky. But if he dodges and hits me for 10, then it's game over. So a bit of a misplay, but we were lucky enough to get through it. I identified a clear mind bracer earlier that protects you from confusion. And I was running out of food here, so I had to eat a rotten rice ball, which put me to sleep. But it also filled my belly up by 30, so now we're not starving anymore. That's one way to lose the run is just not enough food, which is not all that uncommon. Here we are in the first rest stop. It's a town, and this little cutscene always plays. There's your little brother, Pekkaji, who's helping out at this shop. These 4 items on the right are always the same. We've got an ID scroll, a knockback staff, a big rice ball, and a dragon herb. Checking out the other items. Actually, I'm just going to steal everything. There's a monster daikon meats, a knockback. I'm naming it, since I don't have to ID it if I know what it is. So I can just name it whatever I want. And there's an antidote herb, which will remove poison or strength loss. I knock the shopkeeper back, and then I lure out the guard. This could have also been a guard dog, but there's only going to be 1 guard or guard dog. And the guard is even easier to deal with. The guard dog is fast and moves 2, but the guard only moves 1 per turn. And I just knock him down to the south, and he gets stuck on a house, and I can just leave. There's another Haboon. And I did mention this, but enemies in Shiren have ranks, and most of these enemies in the early game are rank 1. Here on floor 5, there's an enemy called Kimin Musha, and I just found a far side bracer. That's the best bracer, maybe the best item in the game. You can now see the location of all enemies and items on the map. I can't see the exit or the rooms or the hallways until I actually explore them, but yeah, this is probably the best item in the game. So yeah, you saw there, I killed a Kimin Musha, and 4 turns later it spawns a Ghost Musha, which wanders around and tries to possess a monster. And if it succeeds in doing that, that monster will gain 1 rank. And the higher ranked enemies do more damage, they have more health, and sometimes they have stronger abilities. These field raiders are walking around, and they're trying to turn any item on the ground into a weed, which is just kind of a useless herb that you can eat for a very small amount of satiation, 5%. But I used my bow there to take it out before I could take out that staff on the ground. And one of those Ghost Mushas ranked up a Monster Nigiri, turning it into a Monster Nigiri boss, which is a different color. You could tell because it was blue that it was rank 2. Didn't want to mess with it, so I just used a Dragon Herb, which does about 70 damage at ranged, and it can't miss. So, popped one of my consumables there. Started in the room with the stairs here. And we've got an ID scroll. I'm getting a little hungry, so we eat a big rice ball. Pick up a confuse scroll. That's an AoE scroll you can use in a room, and it will confuse all the monsters in it. And if they're confused, they can't use special abilities, first of all. And second of all, they'll just move in a random direction every turn. And if something happens to be in their way, they'll still attack it. But that's confuse scroll. Eat this weed because it's filling up my inventory, and inventory in Shiren is pretty limited. You've got 20 inventory slots, and that's it. And you have to pick and choose what you bring along with you and what you need to beat the game. Cruising along on floor 6 here. Here's a rank 2 Haboon called a Mamoon, and I must have killed the Kimin Musha, spawned the ghost, and the ghost wandered around and ranked this guy up. I knocked it back with a knockback staff, and now I'm thinking about dragging her, but we're just going to test the plum staff. And it turned out that the plum staff was an unlucky staff, which deranks the enemy by 1, so it subtracts 1 rank. It's back to its original rank of 1. So higher rank enemies also give more experience. If I were to make that Mamoon into rank 3, I forget the name of the rank 3, but it's the black one, and it's worth 700 experience. It's good for some nice quick power leveling. Find another expansion seed, and that's an item you just eat it right away to fill up your maximum amount that you can fit in your stomach. I popped an ID scroll just because I have so many of them. I just want to get this out of my inventory. And it turns out we have a holding pot. That's more inventory space. Pots do various things. There's some pots that you can put stuff in. Some pots, there's a button on the pot and you push the button and it does something. But until you actually test it out, you generally don't know what kind of pot it is. But that turned out to be a holding pot, and that gives us some more inventory space. I level up to 9, and sometimes there's these NPCs that you can talk to, and I think that guy brings an item to a warehouse in a town. I'm not going to talk about warehouses, but I don't really use warehouses on a new file like this. I picked up an unknown staff there and another knockback staff. So yeah, one of the staffs I haven't seen before, and one of them I have seen before, so I already knew what it was when I picked it up. Minion of Deaths, they can either move 2 or move 1 and attack. So they're not exactly 2 actions per turn because they can't attack twice, but they're almost 2 actions per turn because you can't really run away from them. I picked up some money and another ID scroll. And I've picked up a few confused scrolls, and I'm gonna use the ID on one of the staffs. It turned out to be a decoy staff. Decoy staff makes a decoy of Shiren, and all the monsters on the floor will go after the decoy before they go after Shiren. And it's pretty strong, so I'm gonna stay at the inn here, ran by the old lady. Costs 500, and it fills your belly up and removes any sort of like strength loss. Let's go temper. No, I guess I don't have a weapon, so let's not go temper our weapon, but that's just kind of habit. I go down there to add an enchant to my weapon, but you can't enchant a club. You can't temper a club, so I wasn't able to do that. So, and we still have no shield. That's very bad. Very unlucky. So we have some luck in the fact that we have the far side bracer showing us where everything is, but some bad luck. We don't have a shield yet. I hope to not play shieldless the whole game because that is rough. We have several knockback staffs and an unlucky staff. We're gonna ID the unlucky just to see how many charges are on it. And here's a skeleton mage. They have a special ability. Uses their skeleton mage staff, which has a 1 in 4 chance of doing 4 things, which is knockback, teleport, swap, or haste. So they can also drop the skeleton mage staff, but I don't like using it because it's a 1 in 4 chance of hasting the enemy, so I just leave it on the ground usually. See, there was a teleport off of the skeleton mage special. There's a piton, that's a guaranteed rice ball that drops when you kill it, which fills up your belly by 50. We're on floor 8. Remember the goal was to hit floor 30. Found a medical herb, and these kid tanks are also, we'll call it semi-fast. They're not quite fast because they can't attack twice, but they can move and attack, or move twice. But in a room, they're pretty dangerous because they kite you, but in the hallway, they're really weak because they can't even attack you at all because of the lighting situation, I suppose. In the hallways are dark, so a bit more safe in general. Debuta has a ranged attack. He throws a rock at you, basically, from 2 or 3 tiles away. Yeah, we're cruising along. Still don't have a shield and still have a really bad weapon. Here's a haste proc off of that skeleton mage special, and makes it easy to, even though I'm low health there, if you're hasted, you can kite pretty easily. I'm pretty low health here, so I'm just gonna pop a dragon herb on this minion of death. And here comes another Debuta. Now I'm still very low health, so I'm being a little careful here. He's gonna throw a rock and melee me. At this point, I don't want to trade hits anymore, so we're thinking about what to use. And we're just gonna knock it back, and decoy should be fine. While under decoy, they just move in a random direction every turn, and if that happens to be into you, then they'll attack you. But it's pretty unlikely. But I could have taken one hit there. We are gonna think about storing some of this money in a pot, because you can throw money as long as you stored it in a pot. If you just pick it up and it goes up into your number in the upper right, then you can't throw it anymore. But just off the ground, you can throw it. You could even just stand on it and throw it off of the ground, but as long as you don't pick it up. Alright, let's see what this weapon is. Looks like a Nagamaki. No enchant on it, so replace the club. This thing isn't very good. That's like the second worst weapon. It's got 4 sword strength, and I still have no shield. That's really bad. Debuta. Here's a dark owl. This dark owl makes the room dark. You can see a little circle of light, which is my vision. And yeah, once you kill it, the light is restored to the room. So I'm trying to lure this kid tank into the hallway so I can kill it without taking any damage. And same on this one, although I'm not being so lucky on this one. Debuta. He's gonna throw several rocks at me. And oh, there's a blank scroll. Blank scrolls are very good. It's an S tier, maybe a god tier item. Basically, you can write whatever scroll you want on it. It's very versatile. You can use you can write whatever you want on it. Even scrolls that aren't generally gonna drop. Like, I don't think a house scroll can drop in this 30-floor run, but I can still write a house scroll, making a monster house in the room that I'm in. But you can write anything. You can write air slash, you can write slumber, confuse, whatever you want, whatever you need. Crisis. I've written lights, power up. Yeah, pretty much depending on the situation, you can write a bunch of different things. But I do want one house scroll for floor 30 for the final boss room, which I probably won't even look at the final boss, but if we can bring a blank scroll into floor 30, we can just cheese the final room. Alright, looks like we are going to test out this pot by just throwing an arrow in there. And since the arrow didn't change, and I can't take the arrow out, it must be an identified pot. So an identified pot, you can throw stuff in there, and it will be identified. I'm going to throw some staffs in there. Staves, staves, one of those things. And this is just a bridge, not too much there. Alright, you can see on the map there's a shop in the upper right, and a monster house below that. This Theft Toto, if you kill the Theft Toto before it steals an item from you, then it'll just drop a random item, so it's better to use something on it and just get a random item in a lot of cases rather than letting it steal an item from you. If you just let it get into your melee, it will most likely steal from you before you can kill it. Alright, I found a transform pot. And you can throw stuff in there. Every item you throw in, it will transform into a random item. A Debuta with a Flame Priest behind it. These Flame Priests are a real threat, really, especially with no shield. I'm just gonna decoy Flame Priest and hopefully don't get the 1 in 8 chance that the decoy runs into me. And took it out pretty easily there. There's another Piton for a guaranteed Rice Ball. But yeah, the Flame Priest hits very hard at a relatively early floor, around floor 10. It's one of the first real threats in the run. Especially with no shield. Having no shield at this point is really starting to concern me. But we'll carry on and hopefully we'll find one. There's another Flame Priest. So usually when I have no shield and I run into a hard-hitting enemy, I usually just use an item of some sort. Pop the decoy staff and take it out without taking any damage. I'm gonna check out this monster house here. Yamaguchi stole Arrow. That's a translation error. Like I said, this game didn't come out in the West. This is Super Famicom, and much later it got a fan translation. So this is the fan translation patch. We used a confused scroll in this monster house room, and we're just gonna blink away at these enemies, get some experience. Notice this Norojo has got 2 kills under her belt, so she is now Norojo's mom. So it goes, rank 1 is Norojo, or maybe it's Norojo, and then rank 2 is Norojo's sister, big sister, and then rank 3 is Norojo's mom. So yeah, if I got hit by this rank 3, then I would surely be one shot, so I need to be careful here. I'm just gonna pop a... what am I thinking about here? Yeah, unlucky. Yeah, I think unlucky. That ranks it down to rank 2, and then I'll just decoy it after that. And like I said earlier, any enemies on the floor will go after the decoy before they go after me, so it's a really good item. And you have like 6 or 7 decoy charges, so it really takes care of a lot of enemies. Looks like I found a bargain brace here, and I think that reduces the prices in the shops. I usually don't worry about it too much. There's an alarm trap. Everything that was asleep is now awake on the floor. And check out this uneven pot. I put a rotten rice ball in there, and the item disappeared, so it's a warehouse. It'll send an item to the warehouse. And I don't really want to talk about warehouses too much. It's not something I generally use in any new file run. But if you were just learning the game or such, you could use it. Naduba, it's kind of like a mimic. Traps on the ground, and that trap in the upper left there is a very dangerous one. It's a monster spawning trap. It'll spawn 4 of the same type of monster adjacent to you, and it'll still be your turn after it goes off, so you have time to deal with it, but you'll need some sort of AoE or something. I found an Earth Scroll, which adds +1 to the shield, gives you a little bit more defense. Slumber Scroll, I want that. It's an AoE, puts everything in the room to sleep for 20 turns, but after they wake up, they're hasted. So 2 actions per turn when they wake up. So generally you use it in a room where you can just kill everything before it wakes up. And hitting them as they're asleep does not wake them up. Looks like we're gonna buy a couple things here, and making some room. Holding pots to put a big huge rice ball in, and yeah, we're gonna buy the slumber scroll and big rice ball. The special ability in Norojo is curse all of your equipped gear. Includes weapon, shield, and bracer. I didn't mention this, but we finally found a bronze shield, which is a bit of protection, and I put an Earth Scroll on it, so it should be up to 5 defense or shield strength. And you can see on the map there, having the far side bracer is very useful. As you can see, the enemies come down the hallway, and I can just walk away. If you don't have that, and the hallways are dark, a lot of times you'll just run into something that'll attack you. Unless you're just in the hallway swinging your sword back and forth and not moving. 19 wood arrows. Arrows are very, very good. As ranged combat is king in Mystery Dungeon games. Because doing damage without taking damage is super good. Popkarepkin is a character that can fly through walls, and if it's in the wall, you can't damage it unless you can also walk through walls. Its AI moves 50-50. It'll move towards you or just move in a random direction if it's confused. Knock this Flame Priest back, and it was a good thing I did because a healer rabbit showed up. Healer rabbit will teleport in and heal if you do damage to something. If there's a healer rabbit that's awake on this floor and I attack something and don't kill it, the healer rabbit will teleport in and heal it. Usually to full, although if they have a lot of health, then maybe not. I don't know exactly how much it heals for, but a lot of times at this point in the game you can't out-damage the enemy, so you have to take out the rabbit first. Popkarepkin here. Popkarepkin is a good target for the Bufu staff, as you can make Popkarepkin meat, which can be consumed to turn into a Popkarepkin, and then all of a sudden you have the ability to walk through walls and become, invincible while you're in the walls. The only thing that can damage you in the walls is another Popkarepkin. Really, because they don't attack you 50% of the time. They're not too dangerous. We're just naming the transform pot there. Got a couple light scrolls, which is nice. A light scroll will map the current floor you're on and to show you where all the enemies and the staircase and everything. The whole works, it'll show you where everything is. I threw a Toto pot at the wall to spawn a couple Totos, which I'm trying to kill for random item drops. Looks like they dropped staff and an herb, knockback staff, and a medical herb. Medical herb is double purpose. You can either eat it for a smallish heal for like 20 to 30, or if you're already max health, you can get +1 to your max health. So kind of nice that there's a double purpose. Oop, I just stepped on the monster trap. Luckily it's Kigni Tribe, and Kigni Tribe will always fight other monsters before they go after Shiren. So they're all fighting each other and I'm just picking them off. And also another thing about Kigni Tribe, I believe they can rank up infinitely. So based on how many kills they get, they'll just keep ranking up. Moving on to floor 12. Another holding pot, that's very good because now we have more inventory space. Since the holding pot has the number 5 next to it, it basically gives us 4 extra slots in the inventory. So if it's the first one you found, you would now have 24 inventory instead of 20. But I had another one already, so I have more than that. Otsugiri So, it's a big heal. I think it heals for 100. And again, it has a double purpose. If you eat it while max health, you'll get +2 to your max health. There's another Flame Priest. I'm just going to decoy it because Flame Priests do a lot of damage and I don't want to take a 20 or 30 damage hit right there. Okay, this room is a little concerning. These old man tanks, they're slow. They only move once every 2 turns, but they will shoot in straight lines. And their shot is 3x3 AoE, so they can get splash damage on other enemies and get accidental kills, which will rank them up and remove their slow status and just turn them into normal speed tanks. They'll always do 20 damage, no matter what your shield is, because it's explosion damage. Unless you had a the body shield or something like that to half explosion damage, but that's a rare shield, and normally you don't see one. You definitely don't see one just lying on the ground. You might find one in a shop or something. There's an old man, not much to him, he's just a nice old man wandering around the dungeon. Another flame priest up here. We are just going to test this unknown staff. It looks like it is a ping dividing staff, so that puts a debuff on them. If they do damage to me, they take the same amount of damage themselves. So it's pretty good. It can deal a good chunk of damage, especially to something like a Minotaur later on, which can crit you for upwards of 60, 70 damage. It can just reflect all that, and that'll just one-shot them, so they won't get another hit on you. It's pretty good there. I'm gonna just head down. I'm pretty good on items. I have a lot of inventory to help us get through. So, and of course we'll find more stuff on the way. So there was an air slash scroll that does about 30 to 40 damage to everything in the room you're in. One good use of it is using it in combination with a big room scroll. So it removes all these little rooms and these hallways and just makes one big gigantic rectangular room. And once you have that, you can just air slash the entire room. So let's say there's 20 enemies on the floor. Air slash will hit all of them, and it's a pretty nice way to get some good experience. I'm trying to lure this old man tank out because currently he cannot hit me because he has to attack in a straight line. So I was not able to two-shot it though, so he got one shot off on me. Nothing much going on here, just fighting a pumpkin. Pumpkorepkin. And there's a sleeping one. It wakes up, of course. It's not like you have an advantage. You have an advantage on sleeping enemies if they have a ranged attack. Let's say versus a melee enemy, it's not that great for them to be sleeping. It doesn't really matter too much. Unless you were just to walk past and not fight it at all. But I'm trying to get some experience here. There's a trap. Now the floor is littered with traps, and there's a poison arrow trap. There's a small explosion trap, which takes off half of your health. And I popped a vision herb right away so that I can just see where all the traps are. Another thing is, if you don't have that, you could just swing your sword in front of you before you take a step forward every time. Traps can't spawn in hallways though, so you could just swing your sword in a room if you're traveling across the room. There's another Toto. We dropped a blank scroll, just random blank scroll drop. They just drop a random item when you kill them if they haven't stolen anything from you yet. There's a soldier ant. It will dig tunnels. As you can see, it's kind of ignored me and just went off to go dig a tunnel. And it'll just keep digging on the floor until basically there's nothing left but a big room. That'll take a while, of course. The vision room, I'm just going to eat it because I don't have room. And here's a couple old man tanks. I'm going to pull them back into the hallway so they don't kill each other. They'll rank up. Enemies will rank up if they get possessed by a ghost or if they get a kill. And they can kill other monsters or NPCs. There's another monster spawning trap. It'll spawn 4 enemies of this floor, which could be potentially very dangerous, but there's that soldier ant digging a tunnel. I'm just going to take him out. Another large explosion trap, which will take you down to 1 health if you step on it. If you can see the trap in advance, there's a high chance that it doesn't go off if you step on it. Although you can just trigger it on purpose if you want. Let's check out this stair room. It's got a few items in here. And I'm going store my huge rice ball. A lot of times you want to put your food inside of a holding pot because there is a trap that can make your rice balls rotten. I found a life herb there, so +5 to max health, pretty lucky. There's no drawbacks to it, you just get more health. Get it right away. Doesn't take up any inventory either, which is nice. This town here is the rest stop before the marsh. And if you save, there was a little girl somewhere that you could save and bring her back to her parents here, and then it opens up a warehouse, but she's such a liability that I just don't do it. And the reward is very weak as well. I mean, you just get a warehouse. So there was also an inn at the town, but I skipped it to save some time. Alright, the marsh is full of nasty enemies that attack your status rather than your life. Well, some of them attack your life as well, but these wriggling honeys will, their special is level -1, so you'll lose a level if they use their special on you. They'll take you down to the maximum experience of the level below you. So the dangerous thing is if they use that twice, you lose an entire level. If they just use it once, you'll lose a fraction of a level, just however much you had already. I read a crisis scroll here to get rid of all the curses off of all my gear, and so that we can test this other Nagamaki. There was no enchant on it though, so no upgrade there. Gyazars are, they don't attack your status, they just hit really hard. Just one big hit every time they hit you. So I need to use something here. I'm just gonna use I'm just gonna throw money at it to kill the left one. And then for the other one, we're just going to knock it back. And in the marsh, there's a lot of places, there's a lot of water, and if it lands in water, then it'll just teleport somewhere on the floor. See, that's probably the same one there. I'm just going to move on, because you don't want to hang around marsh too long, as the enemies are pretty gross. There's also an enemy called Ghidorah. Oh, here it is. And the strat for that is you take off your sword and shield because it can rust your sword and shield and start subtracting enchants off your sword and shield. Here I shot some arrows down the hallway. I forgot to use this transform pot. I could have used this ages ago. But we're going to create a bunch of items out of arrows and see what we get. It'll be 5 random items. Got a hiding pot, unlucky staff, crisis scroll, knockback staff, and an air slash scroll, not too bad, and a leather shield. Leather shield reduces your hunger by half, so you'll get 20 actions before you lose 1% of your belly, instead of the usual 10. I found the exit. I feel like this layout of this floor is pretty common, and you see it a lot. So a lot of times you just want to rush the north and middle. There's a scroll across water here. I have a Toto pot, so I'm just going to make the Toto go out. It grabbed an air slash scroll. And that scroll is now inside of the Toto pot, so I either have to break the pot or whatnot. I use a big roam scroll here. This is for 17, and here's that combo I was talking about earlier. Big room into air slash. Also, the enemies on this floor are master chickens, minotaurs, and narojos, I think. And minotaurs are worth 300 experience. This is the first big jump in experience. Minotaurs are worth 300, master chickens are worth 400, and if you don't quite two-shot the master chicken, let's say you do a little bit too much damage but not enough to kill it, it'll turn into a normal chicken which just runs around the room and doesn't have an attack. And that's worth 200 experience. So this is like a really big jump in experience. So usually I try to kill quite a few enemies in this floor to get some levels. Just health, max health, and damage. You gain max health and some melee damage when you level up. There's a chicken from a master chicken. A lot of times the air slash scroll will just turn all the master chickens into chickens because it's not quite enough to kill them. And I could have stayed on that floor longer and farmed. It's a good floor to farm, especially in a big room, but for the purpose of time and the fact that my item, my inventory is pretty decent, we're just gonna move on. I found a paralyzed scroll there, or a paralyzed staff, and I used it on that Death Toto, which paralyzes it, but I'm just gonna throw some money at it. Dropped a random item, a life herb, which adds 5 to my max health. Found some more arrows, which is always good. Here's a fleeing piton, which is the rank 2 version, and it will guarantee drop a big rice ball, which fills your belly up by 100. Let's just go up. Oh, one thing to note, on floor 17, once we entered Table Mountain, up until then, we've been going down to floor 17, and then once you hit Table Mountain, you go up to floor 3. So that's important, mostly because of pit traps. Pit traps will make you fall down, so if you're climbing Table Mountain, it'll take you back a floor. If you're before Table Mountain, it will take you forward a floor. So it's basically the same as finding the stairs if you're before, and it'll take away some progress if you're after. So it's kind of a neat little nuance of this game over others like Azure Dreams or other mystery dungeon games. Torniko no Daiboken would be the first game in the series, and that game is very similar to this one in terms of UI and mechanics and such. Minotaurs are very, very dangerous. They can crit in melee because they have a Minotaur axe. And that gives them a chance to crit. I don't know what the chance exactly is. We'll call it 25%. And yeah, crits do, I don't know, triple damage maybe? So they hit you for a good 60 to 70 with this level of shield. Of course it's reduced, the better your shield is, the less damage you'll take. But in general, Minotaurs are very dangerous. Farsight makes them a little less dangerous because I'm not going to accidentally run into one. And this Toto, I believe, it either stole that from me or just picked it up off the ground. And you kill it, you get your item back. So yeah, we've got 10 floors to go. We're on floor 20. A little low on the level. We'll use an unlucky staff on this Flame Priest rank 2. Turning it into a normal Flame Priest. Now my health is low and I'm in kill range for this Minotaur, so we have to use something. I'm gonna use a knockback followed by arrows, and I'm starting to get too worried about that one, so we just use unlucky. Minotaurs are naturally rank 2, so they can be. You can use an unlucky staff on them to turn them into a Tauros, which you can see in some of the bonus dungeons in the game. After you beat the 30 floor dungeon, there's a couple quest lines you can do, and there's a trap-themed dungeon and a food-themed dungeon. And then once you beat all those, there's a 99 floor hard mode dungeon. And you'll see Tauros, which is the rank 1 Minotaur, in some of those bonus dungeons. But they don't naturally occur in this 30 floor dungeon, unless you use an unlucky staff. As the monsters that can naturally spawn on each floor are fixed. I mentioned this before, but let's say on floor 20 the only monsters that can spawn here are Flame Priest 2, Minotaurs, Master Chickens, and a couple others, maybe a Piton. And I might be forgetting one or two. But the list of enemies that can actually spawn on this floor is fixed. Which is very nice. Getting a little too low here, so I'm gonna use blowback on the Master Chicken, followed by some arrows. I'm all out of arrows. So I'm just gonna throw this money at it, which missed. So now we're just gonna decoy it. I could have taken a decoy hit there if it attacks me there. So now me and the Minotaur are beating on this Master Chicken, and the Minotaur got the kill and turned into a, what was it, a Megatoros? So I'm gonna unlucky it, turning it back into a rank 2 Minotaur. The rank 3 would definitely one-shot me, and I unluckied one final time to put it back to rank 1, which takes it back to a Tauros, which is a very weak kind of enemy at this point in the game. Oh, there's a Theft Toto. Those can spawn on this floor. They will steal an item from you. That one stole my holding pot, which has a bunch of items in it, so it stole multiple items from me because they were all nestled inside of the holding pot. This Ether Devil is normally not visible, but since I have Farsight, I think I can see it. Here's another Flame Priest 2, rank 2, and thinking about what to use here. We are going to use just an unlucky, turn it back into a regular Flame Priest. Now the regular Flame Priest, man, it still hits pretty hard. I think I got hit for about 30 there. Falling pretty low here. And to deal with this, one thing about Flame Priests is arrows don't work on them. Throwing money doesn't work with them. Scrolls do work, and staves do work. So I use a Slumber Scroll to just kill it. Kind of a expensive way to get rid of it, but health was too low to mess around there. We decoy this Minotaur for some experience, and I don't want to mess with the second one, so we're just going to leave any more and we'll have to spend more resources to take care of it. That's one thing in roguelikes. Usually there's some sort of resource management. You just can't spam all of your items on everything you see because you'll run out. This enemy below me is called a Gaze, and the special ability of the Gaze is Hypnosis, which makes me use a random item out of my inventory. It just makes me consume it. So that could be like eating an herb, or reading a scroll, or maybe putting my shield inside of my holding pots, or something like this. But that consumes your turn, so it just gets to go again after that. So it's very dangerous if you let it start doing that, because you can get stun locked to use, 4, 5, 6 items before it finally decides not to use the special. Men bells can be dangerous, I think. These are summoners. Their special is summon a random monster, although I don't know if the different ranks can... I don't know if there's tiers of monsters that they can actually summon, or if it's just any monster in the game. It's summoned to rank 2... what is this, a hermit? Yeah, Fog Hermit. I used an unlucky staff to turn it into a Mist Hermit, which is a little easier to deal with. But their special ability is a debuff that goes on you that gives you a degen, health degen. So you have naturally regen by walking around and passing turns. Your health will go up, and the degen will cancel that out, so you're not gaining any health. And it stacks. The degen debuff stacks, so if you have multiple of them, you'll lose health every turn. I made it to Underground River Town here, which is the final rest stop, final town in the game. And there's always a shop with 6 random items, and a very overpriced inn at 2,000 Gitan if you want to stay at the inn. There's some sleepy daikon meat, there's some karakuroid meat. I think I'm going to buy the karakuroid meat. It's marginally useful sometimes. There might be a situation where I need to make a pit trap or something. Special ability of Karakuroid is create random trap. So you can use it to create a pit trap. You could even use it on floor 22 here to go back to the town and restock the shop with 6 new random items. So or stay at the inn again if you want, which is something you could do. I used Unlucky on the Flame Priest too, and I'm trying to take out the Shoe Bell. It's just called a Knife Gator. It's a rank 1 Knife Gator. And I can't really handle all 3 of these beating on me, so I'm just gonna air slash the room. Which does 40 to 60 damage depending on their defense, I think. To everything in the room. Here's a chain head. No real special ability here, he just hits pretty hard and is worth a decent chunk of experience, 500 or so. Level ups always occur at the same experience every run, so level 2 for instance will happen when you get 10 experience. And I don't have them all memorized, but I know level 2 at least. Another chain head here. Thinking about what to use on it. I'm just gonna throw the Daikon meat on it. Bit of a misplay there. I allowed it to throw the poison herb at me twice instead of once. There's another very dangerous enemy, the Gaze, with a summoner behind it. So something you can do is paralyze. I used a paralyze staff, and now that one's blocking the other one. So the summoner behind can't get to me at all. So I'm just gonna walk away. There's a green Toto. It's just a ranked up version of the other Totos that we saw earlier. And the thing about them is they can split. So if you hit them and they don't die, let's say you found a rust trap or something and you made a really weak weapon. It has like minus 20 enchant on it. You could try to split the green Toto. And every green Toto that you kill drops a random item. So similar to pudding farming in NetHack. You can make a bunch of items if you're low on items. Our inventory is very good though, so we've got a lot of items in these holding pots, as well as a pretty good selection of items in the main inventory. Here's the stairs room. We're gonna just paralyze that guy so he doesn't hypnosis us. And moving on. Floor 23, we're almost there. That looks like a vault in the lower right. A bunch of money. A 4x4, all the blue dots are stacks of money. Usually the vault is, you need to dig there somehow with a pickaxe or teleport there somehow. By luck. There's another summoner. Anything with a bell is usually a summoner. I use it on Lucky, thinking that maybe if it's a lower rank summoner that'll summon lower rank enemies. I don't know if that's true. That might be true. Because we got a Daikon and a rank 1 Daikon and a rank 1 Narojo that the summoner summoned. I'm gonna just rest there. There's a rank 2 Hermit again. Has the degen health aura. Or not aura, but degen debuff. Health degen debuff. Stacking. Anyways, let's see what this is. Oh, it's another hermit. Alright. Let's just unlucky it. It's easier to deal with the rank 1. And I've got a lot of unlucky charges. I think I have 3. Oh, I've got 4 unlucky staffs. One is empty. One thing about a staff is when it's got 0 charges left, you can get 1 more charge out of it by just throwing the staff, which consumes the staff. Like the staff will disappear, but you get 1 more charge out of it. And we found an ID pot, which we threw a bunch of the staves into to see how many charges each one has. Here is a what's the name of it? Wood armor? No, that's the rank 1. That's the rank 2 wood armor. The special ability is disarm, which knocks your weapon or shield out of your hands, and your weapon or shield will fly in a line behind you. And if happens to be an enemy behind you, and your weapon hits that enemy, it consumes your weapon or shield. So kind of dangerous if you're not careful, but not too badly. I used a confuse scroll here to take care of these couple chain heads without taking too much damage. There's another invisible ether devil, and down the stairs, so I'm just gonna Go up. Alright, floor 25. Starting with the Fog Hermit again. Taking one of those degen debuffs. So I don't have any health regen right now because my bar is yellow, so I'll have to wait that out. Normally you regen health over time or over turns. And I'm going to use an unlucky staff on the chrome armor, turning it into wood armor. Oof. Monster trap. I have to use an AoE scroll here. I'm going to use the Crisis scroll, which paralyzes... if you're surrounded by enemies, Crisis paralyzes everything around you, which is very good. Crisis scroll is weird. It does a lot of different things depending on the situation. It can heal you if you're low health. It can fill your belly if your belly's empty. Paralyze a bunch of monsters around you. You can decurse. Like it does a lot of things. Sometimes it doesn't do what you want though. Sometimes your belly's empty and you're missing 4 health and it'll heal you for 4. I just took a lot of those degens, so I've got 2 or 3 of them here, so we're losing health over time. This is something I just have to wait out. It'll fall off. Okay, it finally fell off and my bar is not green again. But when the bar is yellow, you're losing health. There's a log trap. Oh man, log trap. Push me back a couple. Oh, another log trap. And I'm going to move on to Mugen Ravine. We're getting close. This floor is pretty dangerous. It's got an enemy called Death and a skeleton Archmage. Those are the 2 main enemies of the floor. I started right by this. That was really lucky. Really good stair luck here. But both Death and skeleton Archmage are very dangerous. Death is Death can fly through walls. It's semi-fast. It can move 2 or move 1 and attack 1. I'm gonna run with my Dremless and a Dragon Head. I'm just gonna use one of my multiple blank scrolls to write the scroll Slumber, putting them all to sleep for 20 turns. And if they wake up, they'll be hasted, but I don't think they're gonna wake up. They're gonna be asleep forever. Checking out my inventory here. I'm counting up the light scrolls and blank scrolls because you can write light on a blank scroll. I didn't actually need to use a scroll here because it was linear to the stairs, but I have plenty of light and blank scrolls. This late portion of the game, the enemies start to become pretty dangerous, so I'm going to start spamming light scrolls to figure out where the stairs are really quick, so we can just beeline it to the stairs every floor. Again, we're going to pop another blank scroll, which I write the light, I scribe light on it, and we can see the little hollowed out blue square is the stairs. Use a swap staff to reposition here, and I can swap around the corner here. Even though you can't attack around the corner, you can shoot stuff around the corner. Ranged things. Just walk away from these guys up the stairs. And final... should have one more. Yep, I've got 2 more blank scrolls. So one of them is going to be a light scroll on floor 29. And the trials here, floors 27 through 29 are always the trials, and then floor 26 is always Mugen Ravine. Whatever this enemy here is, I'm just going to do a blind swap on it to get me closer to the stairs. I'm going to swap to this guy as well, which just puts me even closer. And that's one of those deaths I was talking about earlier, but I'm just going to leave. Take 1 hit and leave is fine. And here we are. Here's the Land of the Sun. We've got a little cutscene here as we look at the Golden City. Remember, the goal of Shiren was to clear 30 floors and rescue the Golden Condor, which will grant wishes for everyone. Because that's a great idea. Just give everybody a wish, any wish they want. Let's give that to all the masses of people. Nothing bad could possibly happen. Brr, it's cold and foreboding in here. In the waterfall cave, we've got skeleton archmages, we've got Madrimless. Madrimless has a special that knocks a bunch of your items onto the floor, and it can break your pots. But I'm just gonna cheese floor 30 here. There's a big, huge enemy. It's a bug, final boss, but we don't get to see it because I cheesed it, and that's time. And yeah, the final boss is not really immune to anything. You can use whatever slumber scroll, and you can throw meat at it. You can throw a piton meat, turning it into a very weak enemy. Here's the golden condor. But yeah, that final floor, the skeleton archmages are very dangerous. And I just used a blank scroll. I scribed house, and it turns the final room. It tries to turn the final room into a monster house, but fails. And when it tries to make a monster house, it first erases all the monsters on the floor. And then after that, it tries to make the monster house, but it fails making it because it's floor 30 for some reason. And it ends up just erasing all the enemies off the floor. Kind of cheesy, but you know, it's a safe way to get through the floor. And that's the room. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stick around for the next room.